And let's now turn our attention to happenings in China. China has formally adopted a controversial security law, giving it new powers over Hong Kong and deepening fears for its freedoms. It is set to criminalize secession, subversion, and collusion with foreign forces, but will also effectively curtail protest and freedom of speech. The move follows increasing unrest and a widening pro-democracy movement. Pro-democracy organization Demostito reacted to the news by announcing it was ceasing all operations. Earlier, Joshua Wong, one of Hong Kong's most prominent activists, said he was leaving the group which he had spearheaded. But some other veteran activists have said they would join a key march on Wednesday, despite the risk of arrest under the new law. And the journalist Wan Wasum joins me from Hong Kong. Good to have you join us, Wan Wasum. Can you help us give us insight into how the territory, which is Hong Kong, is reacting to this new development?
Well, the Hong Kong society is basically in a very dark mood because the national law will be enforced in the midnight. That means like 2 hours from now. So until now, we do not know the details of the legislation, whether what kind of activities are considered to be violating the law. We are still in the dark. So people are still have the kind of unknown and fear in spite of this very high pressure time.
Right, so this law was first, it was first talked about in 2003, and after several dialogue, China decided to let it go, and now it looks like China is now emboldened to do this. Why now?
Well, it's because in last years we have a lot of protests happening in Hong Kong against the extradition bill, which send Hong Kong people back to China for trial. So people are fear about the autonomy being threatened by the national security people. So there are very large-scale rallies and even violent acts against the protests. We see like petrol bombs and a lot of damage to the police, a lot of clashes with the police that have never been seen in Hong Kong before. So these large-scale protests and kind of resistant movement have alarmed the central government to take action on behalf of the Special Administrative Region.
Right, so this protest started since last year, and China clearly views this protest as an infringement from Western powers. Do you think that also contributed to these new laws?
Yes, definitely. They see a lot of, mass protests, a lot of resources getting into it, and see people carrying American flags and even flags of Hong Kong independence. So these are all alarming to the central government. But there's no proof of any foreign money getting involved in this kind of protests, and people in Hong Kong are all saying that these are all self-mobilized and self-action instead of getting backing from foreign countries. The central government are definitely seeing in quite a different way. So they will see a lot of, they will speculate there are a lot of foreign forces behind, and especially when the Sino-American relationship got worse, and they see that Hong Kong have been a pawn of to trigger more conflict with China from the foreign countries, as Hong Kong is the only, or maybe say the most open international cities in China. So they will see there's a threat of foreign force getting into Hong Kong to imitate China.
So in the coming days or coming weeks, this new security law would now be part of the Hong Kong Constitution. That would also bypass Hong Kong's legislative processes. How is Carrie Lam responding to this?
Well, our chief executive has said that these laws are targeted at a very small portion of people in Hong Kong who actually carry out subversive behavior or secession of the activities, terrorist activities. She said that this would involve only a small amount, very small amount of people, and she has defended that the central government have all rights, and based on the constitution, to exercise some forces, sort of a supervising power over the matters of Hong Kong in case of like matters affecting national securities and foreign relationships. So she has said that the central government has actually have the right and to exercise to make the national law and to implement in Hong Kong. But Hong Kong people think very differently because the whole legislating process have not been under any consultation for Hong Kong people.
All right, so 1st of July will mark more than 20 years of Britain handing over Hong Kong back to China. But we're also, and we know that 1st of July, we see a lot of activists come out on the streets of Hong Kong to protest. But foremost activists like Joshua Wong, Agnes Chan, Nathan Law, and Jimmy Lai have pulled out of this protest. So what are the plans for 1st of July in Hong Kong?
Well, they say that they will still carry on, still urging people to go on the streets, but like a silent rally, not to not to take any risk of saying out any slogans that may infringe the law, that we don't have the details about how the law will be enforced. So people are expected to still coming out because they have kind of mobilized a silent rally tomorrow in the afternoon. So we'll see how big is the crowd, and we will see how this national law have a psychological effect on Hong Kong people.
Journalist Wan Wasum, many thanks for talking to TVC News.